My friends, I want to speak to you today about something so simple yet so powerful. Something that doesn't cost a dime but can change the course of your life. It's a habit, a discipline, a gift from God Himself. Waking up early and starting your day right. We live in a world that's always running, always chasing, always pulling us in every direction. The noise, the pressure, the rush, it never stops. But I ask you today, when was the last time you stopped and met the dawn? When did you last rise while the world was still sleeping and let the stillness of morning wrap around your soul? The scriptures say, very early in the morning, while it was still dark, Jesus got up, left the house, and went off to a solitary place where He prayed. My friend, if the Son of God Himself rose early to speak with the Father, how much more should we? There is something holy about the morning. The air is fresher, the world is quieter, and your heart is more open. The worries of the day haven't crept in yet. The noise of the world hasn't drowned out the voice of God. In those early hours, heaven is near. You say you don't have time, but God gives us all the same 24 hours. It's not a matter of time, it's a matter of priority. You make time for what matters, and nothing matters more than starting your day with purpose, with prayer, and with the presence of God. Waking up early isn't just about productivity, it's about preparation. It's about putting on the armor of faith before the battles of the day begin. It's about filling your cup so that you have something to pour into others. It's about stepping into the day not with fear, but with fire in your bones and peace in your heart. Some of you are going through storms. Some of you are tired. Some of you feel like life is passing you by. But I promise you this, if you meet God in the morning, He will carry you through the night. If you seek Him first, He will add to you everything else you need. Don't waste the morning. Don't scroll past it. Don't sleep through the gift. Wake up early. Start your day right. Seek the Lord while He may be found. Draw near to Him and He will draw near to you. And when you rise with Him, oh, what a difference it makes. The sun may rise in the sky, but the sun will rise in your heart. So tomorrow morning, when that alarm rings, don't groan. Don't roll over. Rise up. Get up. Speak up. Say, this is the day the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. Let the world sleep, but you, child of God, you wake up and start your day right. There is something deeply sacred about the morning. Before the world begins to stir, before the phones start ringing and the responsibilities start calling, there is a stillness, a holy quiet. In those early hours, the noise of the world hasn't yet crept into our minds, and the burdens of the day haven't yet settled on our shoulders. That quiet is not just empty silence. It is space for something divine. It is a sacred invitation from God to meet with Him. So often we say we want peace. We say we want clarity, direction, or strength. But the truth is, many of us are trying to hear God in the middle of chaos when our hearts and minds are already cluttered. Imagine trying to hear a whisper in a thunderstorm. It's not impossible, but it's difficult. The same goes for hearing from the Lord in the middle of a loud, busy life. But in the morning, when the world is still asleep, that whisper becomes clear. That peace becomes reachable. That presence becomes undeniable. From the beginning of time, God has moved in moments of stillness. When the earth was without form and void, it was the Spirit of God that hovered over the waters, not in noise or drama, but in stillness and power. And to this day, He still moves in that way. He meets us when we slow down, when we listen, when we make room. The morning offers that room in a way no other time does. You see, the morning isn't just the start of the day. It's the foundation of it. The tone you set in those first moments will often carry through the rest of your day. If you rise in a rush, already late, already anxious, your day will follow that pattern. But if you rise in peace, if you begin with prayer, if you take a moment to thank the Lord for breath in your lungs and a new day of life, then the rest of your day starts to align with that spirit. There's a reason why so many men and women of God throughout history have cherished the early morning hours. They understood something we often overlook. that there's power in meeting with God before anything else gets your attention. When you give him the first of your day, you're not just giving him time, you're giving him trust. You're saying, Lord, before I face anything today, I want to face you. Before I hear the world, I want to hear you. And in return, he meets you. Not with noise, not with pressure, but with his presence, with his peace that passes all understanding, with his wisdom that orders your steps, with his strength that carries you through whatever lies ahead. Don't let the sacredness of the morning pass you by. Don't hit snooze on the very time God wants to speak to your heart. You might be surprised what you hear in the quiet. You might be surprised what begins to change, not just in your day, but in your life. When you wake up early and meet God in the stillness, you're not just starting your day right. You're starting it holy. And when you start holy, you walk differently. You speak differently. You think differently. You become the kind of person who carries peace in a restless world. And that kind of life begins in the quiet hours of the morning when heaven is closest. When we talk about the value of rising early and seeking the presence of God, we don't speak from theory or tradition alone. We speak from the example set by the one who lived a perfect life. Jesus Christ. He, the Son of God, full of power and wisdom, who walked without sin, still found it necessary to rise early and be alone with the Father. That truth should stop us in our tracks. The Gospel of Mark tells us plainly, very early in the morning, while it was still dark, Jesus got up, left the house, and went off to a solitary place where he prayed. This wasn't just once. It was a pattern in his life, a rhythm, a sacred discipline. In the quiet of the morning, when the rest of the world was asleep, Jesus sought communion with the Father. He didn't wait until the day overwhelmed him. He didn't pray only when trouble came. He started his day in prayer. He began in the presence of God. And if Jesus did that, Jesus, who knew no sin, who had perfect understanding, who had constant access to divine power, how much more do we, in our weakness, our confusion, and our need, require that time with God? So often we try to carry the day on our own strength. We rise late, rush into our responsibilities, and wonder why we feel scattered and overwhelmed. But Jesus didn't live that way. He showed us the better way, the way of intimacy, of priority, of spiritual clarity before the noise begins. Think about this. Even though crowds followed him, even though people pulled at him from every side, even though there were miracles to be done and messages to be preached, he still chose to retreat to a quiet place at the break of day. He didn't let the demands of the people dictate his rhythm. He let the voice of the Father set his course. There's a lesson in that for us. The world is loud, life is busy. There will always be more to do. But if we don't make time to hear from God, we'll end up doing many things without purpose. We'll spend our days reacting to the world instead of walking in the direction God intended. Jesus' early morning prayers weren't about performance, they were about dependence. He humbled himself to show us that even in his divinity, he modeled submission to the Father's will. He walked in perfect obedience because he stayed in perfect fellowship. You may think you're too busy to wake up early and pray, but maybe you're too busy not to. If Jesus, with all his divine authority and eternal purpose, took the time to be alone with God before the sun rose, we cannot afford to live differently. We need his presence, his voice, and his guidance just to make it through the day. And more than that, we need his Spirit to shape us, to calm our fears, to strengthen our hearts, to remind us who we are in him. That kind of clarity doesn't come from the world. It doesn't come from a good breakfast or a well-written to-do list. It comes from encountering God just as Jesus did, alone, early, and open. Follow his example. Rise before the noise. Go to your solitary place, wherever that may be. A corner of your room, the back porch, the kitchen table. Speak to the Father. Listen, wait. And you'll find, as Jesus knew, that those early hours are more than a habit. They are holy ground. Many people say, I just don't have time. They mean well. They're overworked, pulled in every direction, family, job, school, responsibilities, noise from every corner of life. And yet somehow we all still find time for what we truly value. Time is not the issue. Priority is. Every person on this earth has been given the same 24 hours in a day. Not a minute more, not a second less. The difference lies in how we choose to spend them. And if we're honest, we give our time to what holds the greatest place in our hearts. We may say God is first, but the way we spend our time tells the truth. If your first thoughts go to emails, social media, to-do lists, or the weight of the day, you're not starting with God. You're starting with stress. But when you choose to rise early and give those first few moments to the Lord, you're not just changing a routine. You're declaring with your actions that God is more important than anything else that might demand your attention. God doesn't require hours of your morning. He's not waiting with a stopwatch. He's not impressed by performance. What he desires is your heart, your willingness to seek him before the world has its chance to distract you. Even 15 quiet minutes with him before the sun rises can change the entire direction of your day. It's not the length of time, but the priority of time that matters. We prioritize what we believe gives us life. We feed our bodies because we know we'll grow weak without food. We charge our phones because we know they'll die without power. But what about our spirits? What about our connection to the one who breathes purpose and peace into us? We starve our souls and then wonder why we feel empty. We rush into our day spiritually drained, trying to pour from a cup that hasn't been filled. Jesus said, seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be added to you. Not second, not when it's convenient, first. That's the promise. That's the invitation. When you seek him first, everything else falls into place. Your priorities align, your heart settles, your mind clears. It doesn't mean the day won't bring challenges, but you'll face them from a place of strength, not striving. Some of the most powerful moments with God happen not in church pews or revival meetings, but in the quiet stillness of a morning surrendered to him. That's where battles are won. That's where peace is restored. That's where clarity is found. So if you've been saying, I don't have time, maybe the real question to ask is, what am I giving my time to? Is your time going to the urgent or the important? To the eternal or the temporary? It's not about waking up early just to be productive. It's about waking up early to be present with God, to invite him into the first breath of your day, to say, Lord, before I go anywhere, I want to go with you. Time will always be limited, but your priorities can be realigned. And when you make God the first voice you hear, the first presence you welcome, the first thought you hold, everything else begins to shift. You don't need more time. You need better priorities. And there's no greater priority than meeting with the one who holds the time, the day, and your life in his hands. There's a deep misunderstanding that has crept into modern life. The belief that waking up early is about hustling harder, getting ahead, checking more boxes. While there's nothing wrong with diligence or discipline, if the reason we rise early is just to chase productivity, we're missing the deeper, richer purpose. Waking up early isn't primarily about doing more. It's about becoming more grounded, more focused, more in tune with the one who orders our steps. The early hours of the day offer something we can't find once the world starts spinning at full speed. They give us a moment to prepare, not just our schedule, but our soul. When we start the day rushing, our spirit gets left behind. But when we begin in quiet, in prayer, in reflection, we give God room to prepare us for whatever is coming. You don't know what your day holds. You don't know what news will come, what challenge will rise, what burden will weigh heavy on your shoulders. But God knows. And when you start your day with him, he prepares you for what you cannot yet see. He gives you strength you didn't know you would need. He settles your heart before the storm even shows up on the horizon. Waking early to meet with God is like putting on armor before stepping into battle. It's not just spiritual habit, it's survival, it's strategy. The enemy would love for you to step into your day unprepared, vulnerable, distracted. But when you wake early, when you pray, when you soak your mind in Scripture, when you pause to listen, something happens. Your spirit sharpens, your mind clears, your emotions settle, and most importantly, your heart aligns with God's. The world may measure success by how much you get done, how quickly you climb, or how efficiently you perform, but heaven sees differently. God is not looking for busier people. He's looking for prepared hearts, hearts that are yielded, hearts that are ready to obey, hearts that are steady because they have been with Him. When you rise early and sit in the quiet with God, you're not wasting time. You're investing it. You are setting the tone for the hours ahead, not by controlling every detail of your day, but by surrendering it into the hands of the one who controls all things. That kind of surrender is what brings real peace. That kind of surrender is what prepares you to handle pressure without breaking, to walk through conflict without losing your joy, to serve others without running dry. Preparation is not always seen by others. It's often quiet, hidden, unnoticed, but that's where the strength comes from. The fruit that shows up in your words, your patience, your decisions, it all begins in those hidden moments when no one is watching but God. And that's why the morning is so precious. It gives you space to do that deep work with Him, to build a foundation that will hold when the weight of the day arrives. So wake early, not just to check a box or chase the world's idea of success. Wake early to be still, to be shaped, to be strengthened. Let the Lord prepare you not just for the tasks of the day, but for the testimony He's writing through your life. And when you do, you'll find that your day doesn't just begin with energy, it begins with purpose. It begins with Him. And when you begin with Him, you're ready for anything. Life is not without its storms. We all face them. Some loud and sudden, others quiet and slow, creeping in through the cracks of everyday life. There are moments when the winds of discouragement howl, when anxiety pounds at the door, when grief sits like a weight on your chest. And in those moments, you need more than motivation. You need more than coffee and a checklist. You need resilience, the kind that can only come from the presence of God. That resilience is built in the quiet, not in the chaos. It's formed in the early hours when you rise before the world does and make space for the one who strengthens your spirit. You don't wake early just to get ahead of your schedule. You wake early to get ahead of the storm, to anchor your soul before the wind picks up, to fill your cup before the day starts pouring demands into your life. When you start your day with God, you're not reacting, you're preparing. You're not stumbling into the unknown. You're walking with the one who sees the end from the beginning. That kind of preparation breeds peace. That kind of time with the Lord doesn't just comfort, it transforms. It makes you unshakable, not because life gets easier, but because your heart is rooted deeper. The world often tells us to be strong, to toughen up, to keep pushing forward. But what if the strength you need isn't found in pushing harder, but in kneeling sooner? What if the most powerful thing you could do today isn't running faster, but stopping first in the stillness of morning to hear the voice of your Creator? Those who rise early to seek God know this truth. You don't have to face the storm alone. When you meet with Him before anything else, you carry Him with you into everything else. And that changes everything. Your circumstances might not shift immediately, but you do. Your attitude, your focus, your heart, they all begin to align with heaven. The psalmist wrote, God is within her, she will not fall. God will help her at break of day. There is something powerful about meeting God at the break of day, because that's when help arrives. That's when courage rises. That's when fear loses its grip. It's in those early moments that you remember who you are. Not because of your achievements, but because of who He is. And when you walk out into your day with that kind of confidence, not in yourself, but in your Savior, the storms lose their power to shake you. You may still get wet. The wind may still blow. but your roots are deep. Your anchor is strong. You've been with the Lord, and it shows. Some mornings you'll wake up tired. Some mornings you'll feel the weight of yesterday still pressing down. But if you'll meet him anyway, if you'll rise even weary, even broken, he will meet you there. And in his presence, your spirit will rise, even when your body feels weak. That's the mystery of grace. That's the gift of the morning. So make it your pattern. Rise early. Seek him. Let him strengthen you before the day can drain you. Let him speak peace before the world speaks worry. Build your resilience in the quiet and carry it with you into the noise, because when you start with God, you walk through the storms not shaken but steady, not empty but full, not afraid but anchored. The way you begin your day has more power than you realize. Those first few moments after you open your eyes set the rhythm for everything that follows. If you start your day in chaos, chances are you'll carry that chaos with you. But if you begin your day with intention, with focus, with prayer, with the presence of God, you don't just claim your morning, you claim your day. There is something sacred about the decision to rise early and seek the Lord. It's not just about a habit or a routine, it's a declaration. It says, this day belongs to you, Lord. Before anything else claims my attention, before the phone lights up, before the demands press in, before the noise begins, I choose you. When you make that decision, you're not just managing your time, you're inviting the presence of the Almighty into your day. And where his presence is, there is peace, there is clarity, there is strength. Starting your day with God doesn't mean you'll avoid every problem, but it does mean you'll walk through those problems with a different spirit, a steady spirit, a quiet confidence that comes from knowing you're not walking alone. Too often we live in a reactive state. We wake up late, stumble into our responsibilities, and spend the rest of the day trying to catch up, physically, emotionally. But when you start with God, you begin from a place of peace instead of panic. You start with direction instead of confusion. You carry a sense of purpose because you've already been reminded of who you are and whose you are. That's what it means to claim the morning. Not to dominate it with tasks, but to dedicate it in trust. To give it to the one who sees all, knows all, and holds all things together. It's the difference between rushing through your day and walking through it with intention. Between being pulled in every direction and being led in the right direction. The enemy would love nothing more than for you to start your day hurried, distracted, and spiritually dry. Because he knows that when you give your mornings to God, you become harder to shake, harder to deceive, harder to discourage. That's why there is such resistance to those early moments, why the snooze button feels so tempting, why your mind starts racing the minute your feet hit the floor, because the morning holds power. And when you give it to God, the rest of your day begins to fall into place. Waking early, praying, reading the Word. These are not just disciplines for the super spiritual. They are lifelines for anyone who wants to live grounded in a world that constantly pulls us off center. They are daily choices to say, God, you go first. And when he goes first, everything else finds its right place. Some days it will feel like the morning makes all the difference. Other days it may feel quiet, uneventful, even ordinary. But every time you show up, every time you meet God at the start of the day, you're building something eternal, a life rooted in him, a spirit trained to listen, a heart that stays soft in a hard world. So rise, not in your own strength, but in the strength he gives. Wake with purpose, wake with praise, wake with the deep belief that the one who met you in the morning will walk with you through the day. When you claim the morning, you claim the tone of your life. And when God has the first word, no matter what comes next, the final word will always belong to him. As we've seen, waking up early is more than a routine. It's a sacred invitation. It's a chance to meet with God before the world begins to speak, a time to be filled before life begins to pour out of us. Jesus showed us the power of rising early to pray, to seek the Father's will, to walk in purpose. When we give God our first moments, we align our day with heaven. We prepare our hearts, strengthen our spirits, and find peace that the world cannot offer. You don't need a perfect schedule. You need a willing heart. Start small. Start simply. But most of all, start with him. Let your mornings become holy ground. And from that place, watch how your life begins to change. Thank you for taking the time to hear this message. May you rise early, walk closely with God, and carry his presence into every moment of your day.